Good evening, everyone. I am Dev Kumar. I am the State Committee member of Swadeshi Science Movement. Swadeshi Science Movement is organizing this lecture series for the benefit of teachers, parents, and students. It's part of a lecture series as a pre-online workshop for them. Now, we all know that nowadays teachers, parents, and students are increasingly using cyber platform for learning, for disseminating the information, and for parenting. But at the same time, there are many dangers associated with the cyberspace. So, in this lecture series, we will be covering various dangers of cyberspace, social networking and fake messages, case studies of cyber crimes, cyber laws, cyber ethics, misuse of social networking sites. So, I'm very thankful to Dr. Omkar Roy, Director General of Software Technology Parks of India, for agreeing to us to give a lecture series. I heartily welcome Dr. Omkar Roy, Director General STPI, for this talk. At the same time, I also thank Mr. Mahesh Nair, Joint Director of STPI Kerala Chapter. Thank you, sir. Welcome, Dr. Omkar Roy.
Thank you, Shri Dev Kumar ji. Thank you very much. First of all, I must congratulate Swadeshi Science Movement Kerala for organizing this very workshop and taking it as a movement to sensitize people of Kerala at large, teachers, students, parents, about the issues that are faced in terms of cyber security. We know that SSMK, Swadeshi Science Movement Kerala, has done phenomenal work in science popularization. And therefore, this one initiative, which is very important for this nation, I would commend SSMK for that. And at the same time, also thank SSMK for this opportunity. We know that in our daily life, personal life, our organizational life, and in our businesses, the importance of cyber security is paramount. Of late, as the proliferation of computers, internet, and enterprise softwares, personal softwares, we are absolutely exposed to the cyber crimes, owing to the fact that we are all available on the internet. We are socializing on the internet. All social media platforms are happening. We are so interconnected. Our businesses are on internet. All the government services are on the internet. And whereas this internet has made our life so easy, has made us very, very efficient. At the same time, it has also exposed us certain vulnerabilities, and therefore it is very important for us to keep us aware, to keep us abreast with the kind of challenges and risk that we face if we ignore the importance of cyber security. As per an estimate, the cyber crimes have costed the world $2 trillion in 2019, and it is also projected by cyber security ventures that the damage can be caused by cybercrime by 2021 can go up to $6 trillion. You can imagine the kind of wealth that is vulnerable at the hand of the cyber criminals, and we can make them successful if we don't resort to perfect and proper cyber practices, so that we minimize the vulnerabilities and risks in front of us. We know that as per any statistics, a simple email function that we access, 94% of the malwares are delivered through emails. So what I'm trying to underline is that even if we are so careful about handling our mails and not responding to, not engaging with all those mails, we can save the risk of getting exposed to malware. Similarly, phishing attacks are more than 80% of the reported security incidents. Means if we are very careful about our identity and we are not lured by all these things, we can absolutely protect ourselves, secure ourselves from such attacks. Going by the kind of world we have today, the children are open, they are accessing the social media, social networking sites. They are all getting connected to each other through mobile handsets, smartphones. They are at home, they are accessing PC, they are using PC and laptop for getting education online, and therefore we just cannot prevent them from using all these mediums, all these platforms. But at the same time, the children, the underage kids are also getting a lot of risks from the cyberbullying, cyber crimes, all kind of predators. They are taking round on this social media network, trying to identify the prey and doing harm to them, more psychological and physical both. And therefore it is absolutely pertinent that we try to sensitize and popularize the kind of risk that the people at large, particularly the children, face in terms of cyber security. We know that our business lives are getting affected by most of the time cyber attacks, and even the national institutions are also getting exposed, and so many attack happen every day. As per in statistics from India Computer Emergency Response Team, we have got reported an incident merely in 2020 in tune of 6 lakh 96,000. And if you look at the data that has been generated and acknowledged by Ministry of Electronics and IT, that the legal entities of this country, business entities of this country, faced almost 7 lakh cyber attacks till August this year. So this is the kind of enormity and prevalence of the cyber attacks that we are facing. Even the organized businesses, which are totally equipped with the finances, with the technical capabilities to defend themselves, still they are facing attacks. And therefore, if business entities or national entities are at risk, the individual, the children are absolutely more vulnerable than these entities. We have to understand what kind of vulnerabilities that we have. We are facing threats in daily life like denial of service attacks, man in the middle attack, phishing attack, malware attack, SQL injection attack, password attack. And therefore, on one hand, we have to have technical infrastructure to make ourselves safe and secure from the cyber threats, cyber attacks. At the same time, more than technical infrastructure, awareness also create very important role in our care, in our prevention from these kind of attacks. And therefore it is very important that we disseminate enough information among children, among people at large, the government people, teachers, because they will themselves get acquainted to these kind of measures, and they will also teach their student pupils about the security requirement, about the care and prevention that they will have to take. Like in case we are not we don't actually respond to any email that is undesired, we actually save ourselves from all this kind of lurement. and all this kind of vulnerability. We must also have a great password with special character, with number and alphabet, because it is not very easy to crack them. And we should never share any our password to anybody, either by phone or through email or by any means, because you are not supposed to share your password and nobody is supposed to seek your password. At the same time, you are not supposed to tell anybody your codes that are generated online for entering various sites or accessing various services on the internet. At the same time, you are not supposed to talk anybody and share any of your vital details, because it's very easy for them to allure you and to cheat you using these kind of online medium, through phone, through email, through WhatsApp chat and all. Most importantly, all these cheaters, all these offenders uh, are well versed in the psychological traits, and they actually capitalize on your weakness in terms of psychology. And therefore you have to be very careful and you have to get sensitized. And therefore it is utmost important that we learn how to keep ourselves safe, and these are very small simple techniques. Because you have to have a good password. You should never reveal your Wi-Fi password. You should keep authentic, verified anti-virus software on your this thing. You should never try to use fake softwares or free softwares which are copied from some other sources, because often they carry these kind of things. They themselves get malware and all, and you become vulnerable. So therefore there are different kind of users on the internet. There are people who are very well versed with this technique, they are careful. And there are people who are not aware of this. And then there are kids who are actually vulnerable for so many bad things. Because on the net you get good knowledge, at the same time you are also exposed to pornographic material. And therefore on one hand you should keep yourself safe, but at the same time you should also be aware that these threats are there, and you can use legal ways and means to address these challenges. You know that Information Technology Act, the Indian Penal Code, all these laws are there to protect you. You know that the social media has become a great place from where people are misusing the social media to spread fake information, to spread rumors, to incite violence, to incite social disharmony. And therefore at the same time you may be getting news that people are getting caught under Information Technology Act, and it is very severe act and punishable under law. And therefore you sometimes you will find youngsters, kids and students, without knowing the implication of law, they end up using social media platforms in forwarding vicious messages and vicious information which incites violence in the society. And therefore you need to make aware your kids, young boys and girls, students, whether they are adult or not, minor, that these are the vulnerabilities that you have to be very careful, because these laws are very stringent. We all know that the governments are trying to do a bit more to make sure that we are able to safeguard the vulnerabilities of our citizen, our young boys and girls, kids. But at the same time, the role of the parents is very important. You have to be very watchful. You have to watch the digital behavior of your kids, your children, and you have to be very careful in terms of, and very strict, because a single mistake can spoil entire their life. And therefore you have to be very careful in safeguarding the well-being of your children. And this well-being can be unduly affected and impaired by bad use of social media and getting exposed to all sorts of wrong things on the internet. And therefore these are some of the measures that you have to keep in your mind. And most importantly, the dissemination of this information to large audience, holding workshop, taking this information to the people in their languages, going to schools, going to kids, sensitizing the parents, the guardian, the teachers, the stakeholders is most important. It's more important than actually putting technical infrastructure, software in place to safeguard this. This is more about awareness. This is more about taking precautions. And therefore, by saying that the Swadeshi Science Movement Kerala has actually, as it has been doing in past about science popularization, has taken a very great initiative. Actually, very small effort can save a lot of wealth of our countrymen, can save us from all sorts of vulnerabilities and all sorts of risks that we may come across if we are not careful, and if you are not sensitized, and if you don't have proper information in this regard. With these few words, I am very sure that the kind of workshop that is being conducted will reach to maximum people, and the people of Kerala at large, particularly the teachers and students and kids, will be will be reached, will be approached, and will be sensitized with proper information, demonstration, and they will get benefited from the workshop, from the whole exercise that SSMK is conducting right now. I must express my gratitude towards SSMK functionaries for affording this opportunity to share few of my thoughts in front of you. Thank you very much.
Sir, let's see if there are any questions. Uh,
Yes, sure, sure.
if anyone wish to ask any questions, please come up with the questions. I think there are no questions. Actually, lot of people have conveyed their gratefulness for this excellent talk. Oh, sir, there is a question. How cyber attack is conducted? Sir, there is a question from Mr. Raj Kishore Mishra. How cyber attack is conducted?
These cyber attacks are conducted by many means. There is no one medium or means by which this is attacked. See, they use your IPs, and they try to reach, try to recognize your vulnerabilities, and they try to enter into your system, take the control of the system, and that is often called as a denial of service. Sometimes it is denial of service. Sometimes they steal information from you, and therefore there are ways and means, the proxies, the softwares, the other measures by which you must safeguard your systems that you run, you operate. You know that even most of the world's financial institutions have faced this kind of attacks once or twice or even more times in their lifetime. But there are ways and means, and you have to continuously upgrade your safety infrastructure, security infrastructure, and you have to be dynamically, be very careful. You know that most of the softwares that are being used to safeguard your systems are now using AI to give you some kind of preventive warning, forecasting, or earlier warning systems, so that as soon as somebody is trying to enter into your system or trying to sense your IPs being used or accessed, they issue warning to you. And these are the so that is how one way, and other ways are like malware. They send malware, you open your emails and all. But as far as system is concerned, this is the way it is used through IPs, and then they enter. If your system is not properly protected by the proxies and firewalls and other systems.
Okay, thank you, sir. There is another question from Ms. Srilekha. The question is how students can be prevented from visiting unwanted sites while they study online.
This is not a very technical matter. That is what we are talking about. We have to sensitize them, because we will have to tell them that this is so risky, and that exposes them from the risk of getting unwanted thing, accessing unwanted thing, or wrong things. This is more about sensitizing, educating, and disseminating right kind of information in the students, among the students, so that they don't open these things. Because if you open, you confront or see wrong things, which affects you, emotionally, or psychologically. At the same time, as soon as you get exposed to these things, your systems which you are using to access those things, that can also get affected and can be infected by viruses and all. So the most important thing is sensitizing people, disseminating information, and disciplining them from being totally to the point. Don't try to access anything which is not required and intended. This is the best way to safeguard.
Thank you, sir. So the next question is from Aditya Isharan. How can we stop people from hacking your devices or stop virus attack?
See, you have to be careful. You have to have measures in place, technical infrastructure in place, because you have to have antivirus softwares, and you have to be proactive in understanding this. Most importantly, again, I say, it's more about being disciplined. See, if you are disciplined, you are not using any wrong software, you are not visiting any wrong site, or if you are very careful about sharing your password, sensitive information, personal information, keyword, then you are less vulnerable. So, more than antivirus softwares or such things, you have to be a disciplined internet user, social media user. And if you observe more discipline, safer you are.
Okay, thank you, sir. The next question is can you explain little more about firewall? The question from Adventure.
Firewall is a hardware or software based on this situation, and it actually protects you from external network. And it firewall just like a wall which uh, keeps you behind a firewall. And therefore, if you have a software or hardware, actually your real IP address is not exposed to the outsiders, and you are routed through a proper firewall system, and information is passes through that kind of hub or exchange. And therefore, it can be mixed of hardware or software, or it could be even pure software or pure hardware. So the firewall is a kind of wall which saves you from outer world. That is what it is.
Did any- Okay, sir. That's all the questions now. Uh, I, on behalf of Swadeshi Science Movement Kerala, thank you very much for the excellent talk given on cyber security in day-to-day life, and you have given a lot of information for the students, teachers, and parents, and the valuable information will be very helpful for them to prevent the dangers in cyberspace. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ji. Namaskar to all.